So here is the case study which we were supposed to solve. Let me take you back to the case study once. This is the case study which we are planning to solve. Which control chart are you going to use for this case study on bank call center? A bank has a call center which wants to assess whether its automatic answering system is in control or not. The total number of unanswered calls against the landed calls were recorded for 25 days. Each unanswered call is a defective. Comment about the process. Comment on whether the process is in control or not. And what chart are you going to use for this? We have already discussed that we are here discussing about defectives, right? Why is it that a defective? Each unanswered call is a defective. And for 25 days, we are recording that. It's defective. And each day, how many calls are we going to receive? We have no idea on that. On day 1, I might receive 100 calls. On day 2, I might receive 120 calls. On day 3, I might receive only 10 calls. It's variable. Hence, we go with P chart. So here is a bank call center example on Minitab. For 25 days, the total calls which were received on each day were recorded. As you see, it's not fixed, it's variable. And the number of calls unanswered is also recorded. So 31 calls were unanswered out of 462 calls. 37 calls were unanswered out of 575 calls, so on and so forth. So now if I were to plot a control chart for this, I need to go to Stat, Control Charts. It's attribute chart, right? And P chart. Attribute chart and P chart. Let me click on that. What do we need to select here? Right, the total number of unanswered calls. Do we have any subgroup size? We have total calls, that's the subgroup size there. Click on P chart options here. Go to the tests. Here for attribute data, you can perform one of these 4 tests. We wish to perform all tests for special cases. 1 point greater than K standard deviations from center line. Right, 1 point greater than K standard deviations from center line. What does that mean? K is 3 here. So even if you have 1 point which is greater than 3 standard deviations from the center line, that is called as an outlier. Here you have K is equal to 9 in the second test. K points in a row on same side of the center line. That means 9 points in a row, either above the mean or below the mean, continuous points. That is also an outlier. Here we have K6 for the test 3. That means 6 points in a row. If all those 6 points are increasing or if all the 6 points are decreasing, then also it is an outlier. And here is the 4th and final test where you have the K value as 14, sorry. So if 14 points are in a row and alternating up and down, that means, hey, 1 point is here. Well, let me select that pen. 1 point is here, 1 point is there. 1 point is here, 1 point is there. Alternating up and down. If 1 point is up, another point is down, another point is up, another point is down, another point is up. If you have 14 such points alternating up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, then also it is an outlier. So these are the 4 tests which Minitab has within the tool. So we conduct these 4 tests for attribute data and click on OK here. We press on OK once again here. Right now the chart will get generated. Wow. Here is upper control limit and here is the lower control limit. Right? And all the data points are falling within the limits except for one, which is here. Red line, red dot, which is above your upper control limit. Now you can ask me this question on why are these control limits in form of steps? Why is it not a straight line? Or lower control limit, why is that not a straight line? It is not a straight line because it's variable data. Data is varying, right? If data varies, your control limits also vary. Your subgroup was varying, right? So that is your, you know, uh, rationale behind having not a straight line in having this kind of a step graph or step line for your control limits. Now, this one point is violating, right? So which test is it violating? Which test is it violating? The first test. If you want to know what is the first test, you need to go back to the chart there. That's the shortcut, right? To go back to the window which we have previously used. I go to the P chart options there. I go to tests, right? And what is the first test which is given here? K is 3, so it's 1 point greater than 3 standard deviations from the center line. And here there is 1 point which is falling above the 3 standard deviations. Hence it is an outlier. Now let us come back to the second case study. And that is how you analyze, right? Now that outlier you analyze. You do a root cause analysis. Why is that an outlier? Right? Is it really an outlier, or is it because of a mistake which has been done in the process? Or should that be also considered as not an outlier and proceed with the further analysis? Right? Only if you try to identify the root cause, you can accurately zero on, whether it's a good thing or it's business as usual or what's going wrong there. All right, here is the second case study, LED manufacturing, right? A manufacturing firm specialized in LED wants to assess whether or not its manufacturing process is in control or not. Samples of LEDs were taken every hour for 3 shifts. They work in 3 shifts, morning shift, afternoon shift, and then the night shift. 25 samples of 410 lamps, right? That is the sample which people have picked up. And they tested to see whether or not they work. LEDs which do not work are termed as defectives. Now here the sample size is fixed. You have 25 samples, and the number of lamps that you're manufacturing, that is also fixed. It's 410. If I go back to the previous slide here, hey, my bad. So let me select the laser pointer. So we know that it's a defective if the lamp is not working, but the sample size is fixed here. If the sample size is fixed, you go with what? NP chart. You go with NP chart. So let us go to the mini tab, hit it hard to get the output. Here we have the LEDs. Sample sizes, right? 410 for 25 days. All day you manufacture or you pick up 410 samples to investigate. On day 1, you found that 3 LEDs were defectives out of 410. 2 were defective on day 2 out of 410. 5 were defective out of 410. So on and so forth. So this sample size does not vary, it's fixed. Let us go to the control chart and try to plot attribute chart, NP chart. What are the variables that you wish to plot? I wish to plot the LED defectives. Do we have any subgroup size here? Yes, that's the first column. Now click on NP chart options, go to tests. I wish to do all the tests instead of doing only one test. So I perform all the tests, click on OK, and click on OK once again. Now you see straight line for upper and lower control limit. Why is that so? Your sample size is fixed. That is the reason. And is this control chart violating any of the 4 tests? No. All the data points fall within the limits, and so also there is no violation of the 4 tests. If at all there is any violation, you would have seen red points instead of the blue ones. There you go. We have completed the second case study. Let us look into the third one, which is shoe manufacturing. Your quality team inspects manufactured shoes against the checklist. There are 7 opportunities for error in each transaction. 90 shoes are inspected every day, and the number of errors were recorded. A number of errors are recorded. Comment about the process. Is the process in control or not? First of all, which control chart are we going to use here? Go back here. It's defects, right? Because they're discussing about opportunities for error and the number of errors are recorded. So there's no mention of defective here. So we know that they are defects. Is the sample size fixed there? Oh yes. Why? Because you daily pick up 90 shoes. So the sample size is fixed, obviously. If the sample size is fixed, then you go with which chart? C chart. All right, you go with C chart. So let us go back to the magic shoe manufacturing. Daily you pick up 30 and you try to identify the errors within that. Hey, here there are 90 shoes and how can there be 104 defects, errors? That is because each shoe has 7 opportunities for error. So if I have 90 shoes, it will be 90 into 7 opportunities for error. That will be 630 opportunities for error in total, right? 90 into 7. Out of 630 opportunities for error, there are 104 errors. That is what it means. Yeah, so don't get confused, folks. Let us do the C chart now. Go to Stat, Control Charts. Yeah, go to Attribute Chart. We are still in Attributes. And click on C chart there. What do you want to plot? I want to plot the number of errors. And go to C chart options there. Go to Tests. For attribute tests, you have 4 tests. So do a drop down. Perform all tests for special causes. Click on OK and OK. Now let us see whether the process is in control or not. Wow, we got the control limits, lower and upper control limit. You have the count or average of the count. Here we see that there are 2 outliers, right? There is one outlier here. There is another outlier there. Both of these are violating test number 1. Test number 1. So what do you do next? You need to identify what is that test number 1. How do you do that? Right? Just click on this icon there to go back to the previous edit window. Go to C chart options. Go to tests. Here we have the 4 tests. And we know that there are 2 data points which are violating the first test. What is the first test all about? There is 1 point which is greater than 3 standard deviations. There's 1 point greater than 3 standard deviations from the center line. Wow. So that's violating that. You analyze, you try to identify the root cause, and is it a genuine case of being an outlier or not? You try to identify that here. All right, let us go back to the presentation and look into the next case study. Here we have a case study of soft drinks. What does this case study say? A soft drinks company wants to assess the stability of bottle filling process. The fill height of bottles at the same temperature are inspected every week. Comment about the process. So you are measuring what height of the bottles, fill height. Height is what? Continuous variable, right? Height is a continuous variable. All right. How many bottles do we have? Or how many did I pick? We'll come to know once we see the case study there. So we know that it's a variable data. All right. And let us see the sample size there in the Minitab file and comment on what we are going to do. Hey, we have picked up 10 bottles. Right? We have picked up 10 bottles. So the sample size is greater than or equal to 10 here. So you go with X bar S chart, X bar S chart, right? So let us do that. Go back to your mini tab, offerings example, go to stat, control charts, go to variable charts for subgroup. We need to do X bar S. Click on that. Are all observations for the chart in one column? Yes. Select all those. Subgroup sizes, the weeks, I believe, right? Go to X bar S there. Click on test. Click a drop down. We want to perform all tests. What is the difference that you have noticed here? For your attribute tests, attribute charts, you have 4 tests. And for your variable, you have 8 tests. You have 8 tests. 4 more got added. The value of K can be changed to suit your requirements. If you go with Western Electric rules, that is your project management professional, right? In that, the control charts use a rule of 7. 7 data points falling on one side of the mean of the center line. But here we are following what? Nielsen rules. Nielsen rules. Hence, you see the difference. Okay, let me click on OK and OK. Let us see what happens here. There goes an error. So now it says that the options which you have selected are absolutely wrong. So there is a reason why we have done it in that way, because Minitab is not a dumb tool wherein you put whatever values you wish to and it's going to throw you a control chart for that. You have to be judicial, and Minitab knows few things, right? Even if you go wrong, you can make the corrections. So let us go back to the edit window, right? What did we do? Let me go back to the worksheet also. Here is a worksheet for your fill height. If you go to stat, control charts, subgroups, and if you click on X bar S there, this is the option that we have selected, right? All observations for a chart are in one column. How did you even believe that? We have column 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right? So we have different columns. So observations for a subgroup are in a row of columns, are in one row of the column. Yeah? So now you select all the bottles from 1 till 10. Go to X bar S, go to tests. We want to do all the tests here. Click on OK and OK. It's coming up. It's populating the control chart for us now. Here we go. Both are good. This is for your mean X bar and this is for your standard deviation. So you're looking into both of these in tandem. First, you look into your X bar chart or sample mean chart, and you see that there is one outlier here, and it is violating test number 5. Now we need to find out what the test number 5 is all about. Let us go back and check what the test number 5 says. Go to test. The 5th test says K out of K plus 1 points is greater than 2 standard deviation from the central line. What is K here? 2. So 2 out of 3 points are greater than 2 standard deviations from the central line. 2 out of 3 points are greater than 2 standard deviations from the central line. So in that way, you identify what is an outlier, which test is it violating, and how to counter that. All right, now we have one last test which we need to perform, the loan application. One last case study which we have to crack now. Loan application. The loan application processing time, here itself, the thought should click you, right? It should strike you and say, hey, we are speaking about continuous data, variable data here. Loan application processing time is recorded for one loan application every day to determine whether the process is in control or not. Comment about the process. There is only one sample, right? One loan application per day. Only one sample. And we know that it's variable data. Variable data and sample size is equal to 1. So you perform IMR chart, individual moving range chart. Let us go. Let us go there. Let us open the loan application case study and solve it using your magic box, which is me tab. Here we go. On a daily basis, we pick up one application and we check the loan processing time. Probably this is in minutes. Hopefully it's not in hours or days, right? It would be in minutes, right? That's the assumption. So now let us plot the chart, which is individual moving range chart. So we are now doing variable charts for individuals, which is IMR chart. We click on that. We select the loan processing time. We go to IMR options, go to tests, select all the tests, all 8 tests. Remember, for attribute data, we had 4 tests. For continuous or variable data, we have 8 tests. Click on OK, click on OK. Let us see what the output turns out to be. Wow. Individual value chart does not have any outliers here, right? But your moving range chart has an outlier here. What is that outlier? There are 2 points, 3 and 3. They're violating the test 3 and 3 there. Yeah. So what do we do now? We need to go back and check what the test 3 means. Look at that. K points in a row, all increasing or decreasing. So it says 6. K is 6. So 6 points in a row, all increasing or decreasing. Is that right? Let us count. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, yeah, 6 data points are continuously decreasing. Hence, it is an outlier. The next one is also decreasing. Another outlier. Right? So in that way, you try to identify what is an outlier. Why is that an outlier? Yeah. And there we go. This is the way we monitor our process on an ongoing basis. What are the various trends that you need to look into when it comes to your um, control charts, interpreting the control charts? Let us understand those now. Control charts interpretation is not limited to observing violation of the control limits only, right? While a point outside the control limit is a good indicator of non-randomness, other patterns are possible also. You can see a cyclic trend. Decrease, increase, decrease and increase, decrease and increase. That is a cyclic trend, periodic signal. That is also an indication of, probably an outlier or probably something going wrong. Minutes to work, days of week, right? How much time do you take to arrive at office on Monday? You take more time. Why is that so? Because after Sunday, right, a lot of boozing, you actually wake up a little late. That might be a trend. On all Mondays, you go late to the office. Time taken to reach the office is more. Maybe. There can be a mixture of 2 or more sources. You can see probably this kind of a cyclic trend. Versus you can see a shift also, which is abrupt change. Look at that. Here is the process. Suddenly you see an abrupt change and then a dip. In share market, you can see this kind of a situation also. So if you see 1 or 2 of these trends, it's mixtures. Then we also see a trend, gradual change. Look at that, gradually it's increasing, gradually, right? That is called as a trend. Increasing or decreasing gradually is also a trend that you need to focus upon. That also can be a violation, right? We don't know until unless we analyze. Then comes the stratification. If the variability in the process is too small, it might be difficult for you to identify the variability, right? So if you stratify the data further, probably, it might help. We don't know. All right. So we need to analyze control charts with thorough importance. Out of control points should be explained and excluded. If you feel that that is an outlier, identify that it is an outlier, analyze it, conclude that it is truly an outlier, and then exclude it from your data while you plot the control charts. Leave it as is in the graph if you cannot explain it. If you feel that no, I think that is business as usual, I'm really not sure why that outlier has occurred, let it be in the graph and proceed with the further monitoring of the process. Interpreting the tests, we have done that, right? We know that 1 to 4 tests are for your attribute data, and for your variable data, you have 8 tests. That is the importance here. All tests are used for mean of continuous data. If you have attribute data, or for the variation related charts like your R chart, S chart, or moving range charts, right? Only these 4 would be applicable. So if you're plotting IMR chart, for example, right, for this moving range, only these 4 tests would be applicable. However, for your individual chart, all these 8 would be applicable. Though you're combining these two, even within that, continuous part is applicable for few, variable part is applicable for, or variation things, 4 tests are applicable. All right, that is how you interpret data. Once you're done with that, document the solution and the benefits that you have attained now. Appropriate documentation of solution is important because people want to review on whether you have truly brought out the business value by implementing Six Sigma or not. And also you want to replicate the best things which you have done in the past, right? For these reasons, you need to document the benefits and solution. The results of the improvement, the financial benefits that you say your process would attain, right? Or your organization would attain as part of your process improvement, right? You mention that because it has to be monitored for 1 year normally. So the moment you implement Six Sigma project, you are not going to realize the benefits immediately. However, it might take an year or so. So for monitoring and checking whether your promises have been actually realized or not, people have to constantly monitor that. And for that reason, you need to, look into your financial benefits and improvement and monitor them on an ongoing basis for 1 year. Finally, you need to hand over the project to the project owner or the process owner, right? Hand it over. Hand over the control plan which you have prepared to the process owner. Get a formal sign off by the sponsor saying that, hey, I have successfully implemented the Six Sigma project. You'll realize the benefits within a year or so, and here is my report. Get a formal sign off, right? And process owner, you need to get a sign off from him also, him or her, process owner, on the results of the project. He also has to say, yeah, I understand you have implemented Six Sigma project, and I agree with the results. Right. Last but not least, identify all the best practices and replication opportunities. You have done the Six Sigma project maybe in a particular department. You want to probably implement that in other departments also. So good to document, identify the best practices, and you have to start replicating everything. And also advise the process owner on the same, that you have identified the best practices and then he needs to look into the replication opportunities. Finally, we come to the outputs. The key output of control phase is control plan. However, there are a lot of other outputs also, right? But in control plan, you have the documentation of the project findings. Along with that, you also have training and communication plan, which is another output of the control phase. And you transfer the improved process to the process owner. Validation of business financial benefits, right, would be done by your financial team or by your sponsor. They're going to monitor it on an ongoing basis. Here is the last summary. We created a control plan to monitor and sustain the improved performance. A control plan would typically contain your audit plans, risk response plans, statistical process measures, visual controls, and POCA-OK measures, right? It's in that reverse order. First, try to mistake proof. If not, try to use your visual controls to some extent. It's going to address the issue. Or use your process control for ongoing. Come up with your risk response plan. And the last but not the least, or I would say it is the least also, audits and inspections. Least preferred, but sometimes you tend to do that. We also discussed about the control charts, which detects the presence of the special cause and it alerts us. Control charts don't assess capability or conformance to specification, right? They only look into the process stability. Capability is measured by your CP, CPK values. Remember sigma values there in the measure phase. Finally, control plan was shared with the process owner, thoroughly discussed, and the process is handed over to the process owner. Now the process owner diligently follows the control plan to sustain the performance. And with that, we close the Six Sigma project. We have looked into define, measure, analyze, improve, and control, and we are done with the project. Cheers to you guys. What next? Thank you, by the way, for patiently listening to my session. Hope it was interesting and hope it was helpful for you all. What next? Tune into our Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. You learn about the advanced concepts, right? In the measure phase, you have learned only about CP and CPK. Here you learn about PP and PPK also. There you have learned about Sigma. Here you'll learn about Sigma entitlement, Z, basically Z value entitlement, Z goal, and things like that. In measurement system analysis, we have looked into attribute agreement analysis in green belt. In black belt, we are going to look into gauge R&R, right? And there are a lot of control limits, how to calculate the control limits, how to do logistic regression, right? How to do multilinear regression. We learn about a bunch of advanced techniques as part of your Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. Once you are certified on Lean Six Sigma Black Belt, move on, do not wait. Do your Master Black Belt, which has DMADV concepts: define, measure, analyze, right? Design and validate, basically. DMADV, right? Design for Six Sigma process. That's it about Master Black Belt. If you want to further enhance or hone your skills on statistics, look into our courses on business analytics. We provide a plethora of opportunities by catering to almost all the business analytics courses, right? Right from statistical analysis to your forecasting to your data mining, supervised and unsupervised, data visualization, financial analytics, simulation, data optimization, all these are taught to you, right? So all the best for your future session. Thank you so much for attending the session now. See you once again in Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. Thank you.